Hey, it is time for Real Talk here on Steve Shetler Media. My name is Steve Shetler. What's your name?
I'm Aaron Fleming.
Aaron Fleming. Steve and Aaron. Aaron and Steve. We are doing some Real Talk. We've got this cool, I always get my fingers in my directions. It's opposite of what you think. Right down here. I'm looking. There. It's our new little logo. Real Talk. You didn't mind my hand being right in your face, did you?
No, it's all good. Keeping it real. Hi, we've got some real topics for you this morning. We'll be talking about relationships and how to be a better person. But I think we need to talk about some Iowa football first, Steve.
Hey, go Hawks.
Go Hawks, Big Ten West champions for whatever that means.
We are the champions. My friend.
So, we're not here to critique or criticize because, frankly, neither one of us could run a Big Ten offense. But have you ever noticed that Iowa runs up the middle a lot?
I did.
You did.
I noticed that every game. First play of the game, up the middle.
Right up the middle. And to our surprise and amazement and great joy, it actually worked once against... Who did we just play? Illinois. It worked against Illinois. Caleb Johnson ripped off, what was that, a 35-yarder?
Something like that.
Right up the middle, untouched. Ostrenga, I think, had a beautiful block downfield, pancake block, and sprang Johnson free.
Yeah.
And I think this is conclusive evidence that even if something isn't working, you should keep doing that thing over and over and over again because it might work.
Someone say you're crazy.
No cynicism intended at all. No, seriously, this is going to come back. This will be important in our conversation in a little bit. But sometimes when you do keep knocking at the same door, you get an answer.
Yes.
And the answer becomes a touchdown.
Yeah. Touchdown, Iowa.
Yeah. So here we go. Now we're going to talk.
By the way. Oh. Squirrel. I have a squirrel. Squirrel. Okay. It was senior day on Saturday at Kinnick Stadium. And we're talking about back on the 18th, the Saturday the 18th. Tory Taylor was introduced, our punter, who we've talked about here on Real Talk. And he got, of all the seniors, he got the biggest response. He got the biggest applause out of everybody. They saved him for last. So that was pretty cool. Anyway, sorry for interrupting. Continue on.
All right. So I want to just kind of dig in a little bit to a theme that I introduced in a sermon a couple of weeks ago. If you're watching for the first time and you haven't heard, I'm a pastor at New Life Church up in Wellman. So come join us if you're up from that neck of the woods. 10 o'clock at the Parkside Activity Center on Sunday morning. But I was just thinking and talking about relationships. One of my favorite topics, isn't it, Steve?
Yes. Yes, it is.
If you're not happy with the ones that you love, you're probably just not going to be very happy. And I don't like it when people aren't happy.
Yeah.
For real. I would rather be happy. And I'd rather you be happy. I'd rather everyone be happy, especially since it's almost Thanksgiving. Yeah. But I digress. So I'm doing a little sermon series on marriage and I pulled out the old Song of Songs from right in the middle of the Bible. And if you're not familiar with that part of the Bible, it's kind of the sexy bit. It's 8 chapters of this man and this woman oohing and eyeing over each other. And I'm not going to say it's graphic, but it's kind of graphic.
I mean, for the Bible, it is.
For the Bible, it's kind of graphic. And I was thinking about this, Steve, because I know that at least one time you read all the way through the Bible with your daughter Riley, right?
Twice.
Yeah. What did you do when you got to that part?
I mean, she was little enough where it didn't. Yeah.
She didn't know what was going on. Yeah, hey, we may come back in a couple of weeks and talk about some of the parts of the Bible that you might not think are in the Bible, because there's some stuff in there that, like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Okay,
Yeah.
but
They talked about what?
yeah, there's some far out stuff. We'll get to that in a couple of weeks. But hey, real talk, and the Bible's got real talk in it, so you can expect to find some crazy stuff.
Yes.
Because life is crazy. And relationships are crazy. Anyway, Song of Songs. It's right there in the middle of the Bible. It's the spicy bit. And honestly, I think I started reading that when I was about 13, when I started to get interested in girls. And I was like, whoa, this is in the Bible? Come on. So I'm a little bit of a romantic at heart. And so there's a bit right in the middle of Song of Songs that I never understood before. Mm-hmm. And it goes something like this. The woman is speaking. She says, I was lying in bed and I was asleep. And then my lover started knocking on the door. And I thought to myself, I don't want to get out of bed and answer my lover because, like, I already took off my robe and I would have to put my robe back on. And I already washed my feet. And if I got out of bed to answer my man, then my feet would get dirty again. And when I started to read it in that tone of voice, I mean, this is supposed to be real talk, right?
Keep it real.
Keeping it real. I don't think that there's very many of us men out there who haven't metaphorically knocked on the door for some romance with our wives and gotten kind of but I already, I'm tired.
I've got a headache.
I've got a headache and all that kind of stuff. And
My feet aren't washed. I've heard that one several times.
Oh, yeah. My feet aren't washed. I don't want to get my feet dirty. Keeping it real here. And I've
got to give the dog a bath.
I have tomatoes to can. Whatever it is. But and I don't want to throw women under the bus here, because the truth is that women come to their men plenty of times to ask for something, whether it's romance or something practical, the honey-do list, or just some emotional connection.
Yeah.
The much dreaded, we never talk. Can we talk? And all of a sudden, when the woman comes to the man and says, can we talk? You've got a laundry list of things that you could do. Like, all of a sudden, you discovered that you like to do the laundry, and it really needs to be done. Oh, man.
Yeah.
So anyway, first of all, I was like, wow, this is in the Bible. Like, whoever wrote the Bible understands kind of how this goes between men and women. So that was a discovery. But it goes on. So finally, the woman gets up and answers the door, and the man is gone. I thought, ooh.
He gave up. He went away.
He gave up. He went away. And then in this really weird part that I still haven't figured out, she goes out into the streets at night to try to find him, and the town watchmen find her, and they beat her up and steal her cloak.
Wow.
If you're listening and you have any idea what that means, send us a message and interpret that part. I think we got the first part. In our relationships, sometimes we knock on the door. We need something from our wife, from our husband, and maybe from our friends too, or somebody at church or your boss. But you need something, and you ask and you ask and you ask, and you don't receive, and you just get discouraged.
Or sometimes you get beat up, evidently.
And sometimes you get beat up. Yeah. And I think maybe the point of that, Steve, is that when we don't take care of each other in our relationships, we get beat up.
Sure.
We'll find somebody that'll pay attention to us, but it won't be good.
Yeah.
And so some warning there. I think what I want to do with this segment is just finish with the encouragement. We're going to come back next week. In our next segment, we'll talk about how do I become the kind of person whose door is easy to knock on.
Okay.
So we'll talk about that in a bit.
Okay.
But in the meantime, keep knocking. Keep going back to each other in your important relationships and ask for what you need and be persistent. Don't wander away, because that's when we get beat up in life.
And I would say, you want to be persistent, but you don't want to be so persistent that you're like annoying. I mean, there's a fine line, when thinking about this. And again, we're keeping it real. You don't want to be, like maybe, I don't know. Do I want to say the word whiny on here?
Yeah.
All right.
Because you've never been that way. So you're asking for a friend.
Yes. You have to think about, in reality, you have to think about the way that you are approaching somebody when you're making whatever request. Are you doing it in a fashion that is, likely to get a positive result or a negative result? So that's something to consider as well.
I'm so glad that you mentioned that, because I had forgotten that. What makes it easy for someone to answer the door to me? If I'm yelling at them from the other side of the door,
yeah, exactly.
Oh, give me what I want, or I don't know, like have a fit. Outbursts of anger are frightening.
Yeah.
And who wants to open the door to someone who's frightening? Like, that's why we keep the door closed in the first place.
And you hear it lock. Click.
Click. Hey, how dare you?
Not only does it not open, it clicks and locks.
All right. So
All right.
I think we're at a good wrapping up place here. We'll
All
be
right.
back. We'll be back in our next segment. We'll see you around soon.
Okay, that's Real Talk here on Steve Shetler Media.